Hello, my name is Jennifer Echeverry. This is my first video post for Berry Patch Babies. I am making this video because I'm a part of a lot of Facebook groups. One of them is about Reborn scam artists, okay? I have noticed there's a theme going on in the Reborn community that I want to discuss for other artists and other buyers. And so let me just get right into it. Basically, the reason why I decided to make this video is because I do have an experience professionally with conflict resolution, and I feel like I maybe have something possibly potential to add that can prevent somebody else's conflict going forward. So I decided I would go ahead and make a video about it, and I hope maybe it'll be seen and do some justice somewhere at some point to help others. And so basically this is the easiest way for me to explain it. There's been a situation with an artist that has not, according to the buyer, produced the results, i.e. an $800 payment has been sent, and by the buyer's claim, the baby that was contracted was not received, or actually any baby was not received. There seems to be some discrepancy that like a boo-boo baby was sent in place, but there's no tracking number to prove this, and so I mean it's just gotten really sort of sticky, and it's become quite a heated conversation in this Beware of Reborn Scammers group. So I just thought that maybe I could shed a little light from what my perspective is. I just want to start this by saying that Reborn, as a community, Reborn dolls, there's a lot of conflict just for owning one, or for being, in any way participating in, adults who own baby dolls. A lot of people have a problem with it for some reason, and so there's a bond and a tie that ties us together as artists or collectors, just as in, we get each other on that basic principle. So I think that's where it's a sensitive community to begin with. That's my point in saying that. And so with that, I'd like to read the comment that I just wrote on a thread where there's been a lot of back and forth and a lot of hurt feelings. And I'm sorry, I should have had that pulled up ahead of time, but I'm going to pull it up right now. Okay. So okay. There's 570 comments on this thread. Okay. So I'm just going to read to you what I wrote. I do have a professional background in conflict resolution. I consider myself to be very business-minded and feel that ultimately this is a business first. But I also try to go beyond that secondarily, as considering that maybe not everyone has business skills just because they have artistic skills. And I think that's where there's a lot of, confusion. So here we have it. This is my comment. And I said, I just have to say that there's sometimes an inclination to support someone who appears to be the underdog. That meaning could be the buyer, could be the seller. If you're reporting the seller as a scam artist, some people might have the inclination to stick up for the seller. Some people might have the inclination to stick up for the buyer. Alright, so there's sometimes an inclination to support someone who appears to be the underdog. I realize the artist is under fire, but I truly believe that the majority of people want to hear and see the truth. That being said, when an artist gains in popularity from either doing artistically favorable work or aggressive marketing, preferably both, because a business should have marketing. That is also one of the elements of a business, is advertisement. It can be complementary to accept a lot of work, i.e., you think I can make your dream baby. That's a big compliment. I want to help you. Just want to, because you think that I could, and I want to fulfill that. That's the heart of the artist, coming through. It says here, this seems to be a common thread in the Reborn artist community. It's a very gratifying experience to touch people's hearts with your artistic ability, and can make an artist open to taking on more work than they can produce to the same quality or time efficiency. I do believe this is where it gets sticky. Reborns are often frowned upon by the general public or judged by those who don't understand the bonding of an adult with a reborn. It's something as a community that ties and bonds us together as artists and collectors. When an artist cannot produce their promises, I would like to believe in many cases it is not intentional. And of course, there are just nasty, cruel people who are just out to rob us. What I'm saying is that when things get sticky for an artist, they may not have the business sense to humble themselves and be honest about it. This creates and stirs trauma. The buyer can normally sense there is an issue. So when you're an artist and you're feeding excuses and stories and going into your personal problems, number one, that's unprofessional. No matter how close you may think you are with a buyer, they've paid you money and there's a contract implicated. So you have to be careful about giving personal information out and kind of blurring those lines between business and personal, because ultimately, number one, it's business transaction. So sorry, I lost my place. When things get sticky for an artist, they may not have the business sense to humble themselves and be honest about it. So the stories and the excuses and the delays begin. The buyer can normally sense there is an issue. This creates and stirs drama. Now, ultimately, if an artist wants to remain in good standing, my advice, and this is just my advice, I'm not saying that I'm God, this is just my personal opinion and advice. My advice is to respect that you have a duty to provide customer service. You do. If your customer is unhappy, this should be an opportunity. You should see this as an opportunity for the growth of your business. No one likes to be criticized, and it's not good for the ego. The prevention of having further issues is to communicate. Make your clients' concerns heard and important, and be honest in your intentions and what you can reasonably do to satisfy them from a business standpoint. If you know that you need more time and you can kind of gauge what you have on your plate and how you can prioritize things, you should do your best to discuss that with your client from an honest standpoint and say, listen, I've taken on too much work. I got overly motivated and I'm realizing now that I have too much on my plate. To me, and I think to most clients, that would be a lot more forthright, and people would not feel that they were getting the brush off or the runaround, and you stand a whole lot better chance of recovering from this and going forward into making more educated decisions on how you take on more business. But that honesty is going to always be the best policy. So if you listen, you really have to listen to what your clients have to say. I mean, they do have a right to voice their displeasure, and it's important for you to leave your ego out at that point. But this really should help you. Really importantly, this should help you to determine, how you can reevaluate your business practices and what kind of work you take on timely. Make a calendar, get organized, decide what you think is the best way to go about avoiding, the same mistakes over and over again, because it's going to bite you in the ass if you don't. I mean, I promise you. Your reputation is on the line. So don't you think at that moment you letting go of your ego temporarily is going to be a lot better for your ego than getting a poor reputation as a business? I apologize, my family's in the background and they're kind of rude because they do know I'm doing this video. Okay, and I just want to say that I do believe that most people have good intentions. That does not mean that they have honed themselves a good set of business practices. And no matter how long you've been in this business, no matter what kind of artistic work you're capable of producing, business is business. You need to have some sense of business, and customer respect is huge. And if you can't respect your customers and you can't try to do the right thing by your customers, your business does not stand a chance long term. And that's sad, because you might be a fantastic artist that's capable of so much. And why stunt that because of poor business decisions? Once your name is out there, it can be very hard to recover from that. So I feel like this is just a really important video, and I don't think that there's enough information on this sort of thing. So this is my sort of offering. I do want people to succeed, and I do want to see, it's better for me if you're an artist and you're selling babies, it's better for me that you succeed, because the more trusted reborn artists there are, the more people are going to trust me as an artist. It's like it's relative. We're all sort of a family. I don't condone bashing. I just want to say that I think a customer has the right to be heard, and if you've not been delivered your product, and you are being blocked, and an artist is not communicating with you because they don't like that you've maybe said some things when you were feeling passionate and emotional and frustrated that you're not getting what you paid for. You know, you have to consider what one of the posters that I saw say is, if you buy tires from, you know, a tire shop and you don't like the way the tires are, and you go on Facebook and you put a post up and say, you know what, these tires really are not good. They're not doing what they said they were going to do, or, you can still go to the store and get your refund, you know. So, something to consider. Also, another aspect to consider, if you go to a really high-end restaurant, if you go at not a busy time, your chances of getting good quality entrees are higher, because when you go during rush hour and the chefs do not have the opportunity to taste test the food that they're sending out to you on a plate, they may be sending you food that is under-seasoned, or not cooked enough, or overcooked, or, I mean, anybody who dines out can understand where I'm coming from with that. So when you're a Reborn artist, you start taking on more work than you're used to taking because you're getting more business. Maybe your work starts to suffer. So it's important to recognize what you're really capable of producing and being realistic about it with yourself. And if you can't do what they want you to do in the time that they want you to do it, and they decide to take their business elsewhere, you know what, that's okay. There's a saying that I saw recently, this whole competitiveness, right? There's a lot of competitiveness in this community of Reborn artists. I feel like this. I saw this post and it says, a flower does not concern themselves with the flower beside it. They just bloom. In other words, there's room for all of us to be blooming flowers, and we don't have to fight so hard and undercut each other and put each other down or something like that. The most important thing is to worry about yourself and what you can do and how you can please your customers. And believe me, if you're doing the right thing and you have good business practices, over time, maybe you will get better and faster naturally and make an educated decision that you can take on, more volume. But to do it prematurely, I really believe this is where we get stuck. I know specifically, just to give you an example, there was a famous documentary about Reborns on YouTube that I watched, and this lovely, lovely, lovely single mom of 3 beautiful girls was being a very successful Reborn artist, and ultimately, and so sadly, filed bankruptcy on over $20,000 of people's money. And I don't think she did that because she didn't care, or she just became this cool person. I think that she truly just got a lot of fame and notoriety and business and didn't know how to turn it down, and got herself into a situation where she just couldn't produce what she was contracted to produce. Therefore, a lot of people lost out on a lot of money from somebody who was considered to be a very reputable artist. I mean, it happens all the time. So, I just want you guys to try to be kind and understanding and not bashing of people who make mistakes. Sometimes this whole business experience is a learning curve, and there's artists that, really do have good intentions that make poor choices. And if an artist doesn't have a good business sense that you're working with, My advice is to find a way to open that communication and say, listen, if you're overwhelmed and you're having a hard time producing the results that you had intended, I'd like to still work with you, and I don't want this to get ugly. Why don't you reevaluate what you have on your plate, and let's see what we can do to, make us both happy, and, another thing is to protect yourself. If you're going to pay through PayPal, you only have a certain amount of time to get your money back if you're not getting what you asked for. So then I think you should be aware when you're spending large sums of money. Look into your policies before you start sending large sums of money out, and when you have an agreement to buy a baby, really research it a little bit. Not that you have to have an artist that's got all this. Any artist can make mistakes. If you like an artist because you like their work, I would just encourage you to really sort of communicate well and make it very clear, what's really important to you as far as your time frame and things like this. And, discuss with this artist, how many dolls are you working on? Is this a realistic time frame? I don't want to run into any problems going forward. So there's that. The other thing is, people seem to always, sorry for my hair, it's late at night and I'm a mom. Anyway, people seem to also want to order customs all the time, and that's fine. I'm not, to each his own, but I think that, if you're someone who's a little bit leery, then you might want to try to look into artists that are selling a finished product, not a promised product. You know what I mean? Consider that. And I guess that's all I have to say for now. So, best of luck, and try to do good things and do the right thing by people, and God bless. And I hope you got something out of this video, and if you did, share it and comment and all that good stuff. So, Jenna Chidori from Berry Patch Babies. See you again soon.